Welcome to the Unleash Your Inner Radiance podcast with your host, Lisa Dorn. Unleash, 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 unleash your inner radiance.
Hi, everybody. Tonight I have Allie with me. She is a somatic pleasure coach who specializes in women's pleasure, and I am so excited to talk to Allie. So,
I'm
Allie,
so excited to be here.
You are in Brisbane, Australia?
Gold Coast, so close to Brisbane, about an hour away. But yeah, very close.
That is exciting. I'm so excited to talk to you today. So tell me a little bit about your background and how you came to get into what you got into coaching.
Wow. Okay, so several years ago now, many years ago, I was a woman who had never experienced orgasm without super high power vibrators. And even then, sometimes they didn't work. I was extremely frustrated. My libido was low. I was frustrated that my whole sexual experiences were based around when that toy would come out. So I wouldn't even enjoy really myself. I could kind of once I'd warmed up, but it was based around that. I didn't feel much in my body. I was disconnected from my body. Obviously, I didn't realize then. I just was focused on the symptom, which was the, inability to feel pleasure or my orgasm and the low libido. And so I started putting it out to the universe. I was manifesting what I actually wanted, and then things started popping up in my news feed. And I remember
Is that amazing?
Isn't that amazing? And I remember, and this was still quite taboo to talk about online. Now I feel there's a lot of us sexuality coaches, and it's beautiful. It's bringing this out, releasing the shame. It should be spoken about because so many women are struggling behind closed doors. But someone popped up in my news feed, and I was always a confident, I pretended I was a confident woman. And this woman popped up in my news feed, and I thought, who speaks about that online? What is she doing? They're just that part of me, that conditioning. And then if you look at my social media now, you'd think, wow, I am that person. But it popped up and it kind of planted the seed. And so my journey started from there. I did see a coach for a while. I went to self-pleasure circles. I had my own awakening, and then I went on to study as a somatic self-pleasure practitioner.
Okay.
So what I realized was, as I said before, the struggle with pleasure and orgasm was simply the symptoms of me being disconnected from me. I had spent a lifetime of hating my body, eating disorders, drug abuse in my younger years, severe mental health issues. I had never truly felt at home in my body, even though if someone had have said this to me back then, I wouldn't have understood it. But I understand it clearly now that here I was so disconnected from my body, and yet I was expecting to feel the depth of what my body, could give. And I look at it and I have so much compassion for my old self and women who are struggling as well. But I think, no wonder. How could I expect to feel the deliciousness that was in my body when I had spent my whole life disconnecting and running from my body? Just it makes so much sense to me when, after I went through that journey. And, this is what I explain to the women and what I teach women. So I help women basically reconnect back to their body, back to their orgasmic energy, back to their, I don't know what words I can say on here, but their sex center, basically, their genitals. I don't know what word I can say. So then as they do that, the byproduct of that is they connect to their deepest pleasure and they awaken this within. And what I teach women is to let go of the chase of the orgasm. The orgasm is the side effect. And something I say all the time, and I put a post up on Instagram the other day saying, a woman who feels her pleasure freely, her deepest pleasure freely, is a woman who is completely free and safe in her body.
So how, and you can go back to this if you want. You said something about not feeling at home in your body. How did you go about getting to that point where you are?
A combination of a lot of things. So I did, when I started seeing a somatic, teacher like myself back then, I did some work with her personally where she did, I don't know if many people will know in your audience, yoni mapping, yoni massage. So it's connecting internally. And my God, there was so much shame when I did this. And then I did, and then so I kind of pieced together bits and pieces from different coaches. I saw that one a few times. I read some books. The first book that I ever read, that I highly recommend to anyone, is Pussy, a Reclamation. Losing my voice. A Reclamation by Regina Thompson, I believe it is. She's an older woman in the States. Incredible, incredible woman. And I read this book, and part of her journey was mirror work. So I would sit there, and I tell this story all the time, that I sat there in front of the mirror. Now, this is a woman. So I was a woman who had pretended, I had put on the fake confidence my whole life, right? Pretended I was this, just confident woman. And I sat in front of the mirror looking at myself down there, and I was so embarrassed. I wondered if there was going to be ghosts in my room looking at me. I had so much shame. And after I did that a few times, it dawned on me, how in the world could I feel the pleasure down there if I couldn't even look at that part of myself? And whoa.
How many women feel that way?
Exactly. Exactly. And it dawned on me. And then I did a lot of, which is, a big part of what I teach everything together, all the bits and pieces that I learn and study. But I did a lot of somatic self-pleasure sessions, which when I say self-pleasure, people think masturbation, which it's not. If it leads to pleasure, it leads to pleasure. But it's about staying in your body, staying in the body, which us women are notorious for being in our head, being just out of our body. So I did a lot of, did a lot of work with touch, movement, going with whatever was arising in my body at the moment. And there was a lot of pain that was coming up. And it's about staying with that and disconnecting when your head wants to go, yeah, I'm sad because of this. Disconnect, come back to the body. The more you learn to stay in the body, the more you're going to feel what's in the body. And the more you learn to stay in the body, when sensations associated with shame and depression and anxiety and anger arise, what happens is we disconnect and we go to the mind, and it's this continuous loop. And we go, yeah, I'm angry because he did this and he didn't do this. And it's this loop. And then, we may turn to food and overeat to comfort that and numb that, or wine or whatever. So this energy just festers inside us, and no wonder we can't connect to our pleasure. So this somatic work is about connecting with whatever's there initially. Once you do, that energy moves and you can start to access the pleasure. And I also did a lot of touch, repetitive touch and sensation stuff that I teach my clients, the word I'm looking for, awoke the subtleties of sensation, because I had conditioned myself to only feel things with super high power. And this is where the term desensitization comes from. And it's not about, there is no damage, there is nothing wrong with your nerves, there is nothing medically wrong. The term desensitization for us, the way we use it, is just saying, we've conditioned ourselves to only rely on one particular way to feel anything. So the touch, the repetitive touch and connecting in that way, initially I felt nothing exciting. And I lay there going, this is boring as hell. This is boring. This is boring. Give me my vibrator. And sometimes I did. I still went to the vibrator, and that's okay. But I would sit there and just stay with it. It was boring and boring and boring. But I knew that for me, I was at the point of, I knew there was more, and I just was not content settling anymore. So I was just going to do it, however long it took. And this is what I teach the women. And it clicked for me when I realized I needed to let go of the chase of the orgasm. Because initially I was still doing it, going, all right, when's it going to happen? This is boring. When's this going to happen? It hasn't happened yet. And eventually I just surrendered and said, my only job here is to learn to connect to my body. I never have done this. I've never known how to do this. That is my only job. And then that was when things began to shift. And I started to feel things and go, oh, like I didn't know this was possible. And now, and I say this not to brag, but now I'm just so free in this multi-orgasmic energy, and every single woman is capable of this. Every single woman, because orgasms are a build-up and release of energy in the body. That's what they are. You can connect to this energy in any way. And a lot of us are just conditioned to connect to it via the most sensitive area. But you can connect to this in any way. You can connect to this without touch, just, swirling your hips, even, moving your pelvic floor. It's incredible. And I want every woman to understand that you are capable of this. It's not something that, whether you hit the lotto, that one person was born to feel this and you weren't. It's which is what I
right.
Which is what
Right.
I used to think. And I would hear the statistics that, majority of women can't orgasm without vibrator. Mm-hmm. And I used to think, okay, I must just be one of them. And then what I came to realize in my own journey, and then in my studies, that statistic, women can't just because they've never been shown how. It's not because their body can't do it or they can't do it. And so this is what I was saying to you before we started recording. I essentially have this vision of being the Tony Robbins of women's pleasure, just speaking around the world about this, because I want women to know this. I want women to understand what your body's capable of. Mm-hmm. Far beyond what, I even could fathom back then. And it's incredible and beautiful. And I did a lot of the subconscious work as well to reframe, that, I am this orgasmic goddess. And right. I can experience I used to write in my journal, right? I had a manifesting journal, which I still use, but I used to write the same phrase over and over and over and over and over. My partner and I can't keep our hands off each other. We have the most soul-expanding, mind-blowing, deeply connected intimacy and sex. And I wrote that phrase over and over. And at the time, you would laugh to see how opposite I was to that. I didn't want sex. I would do everything. I would, without realizing, back then, before Netflix, back when you had to hire a movie from the video store.
Right.
I remember
I had to go there and get it.
I remember with my ex way back then that I remember many times trying to will myself to initiate something because I wanted to be that woman. And I spent half the movie going, just do it. Just do it. Why won't you just do it? Why can't you just be that woman? And so for me, what I was writing in my journal was so far from what I actually was. But I knew I had this feeling that there is more to life and what we're supposed to feel. So I kept tapping into that. And then eventually things were put in my path and the rest is history.
Perfect. But, it's true because without, I think a lot of women and even a lot of, divorced women, when you're divorced, you think, I got divorced in 2012 and when you have somebody who makes you feel bad about yourself, it's hard to relearn what I may not even have learned. Do you know what I mean? Because you grow up, you're 18, you're 19, you get married, you have kids, and then you get divorced 22 years later. And it's just, you don't learn how to love yourself and learn how to get to that stage. I've done a lot of work on myself and getting, into understanding my heart and stuff. But I don't think that women think that they can be that way. You're right. You see the women on TV and you're like, I want to be like that. Yeah. And you're like, nope.
No. And this is about being connected to you, and that when you are not connected to that part of you, you will allow people into your space that are just wishy-washy or toxic or treat you bad because you haven't even connected to when women come to me, and I have a lot of women that come and say, I'm not sure if I should be in this relationship, or I'm not sure whatever. And my job, I will never ever tell anyone what to do. That's not my place. What I say to them is just take a breath. You don't need to make any decisions right now. Focus on connecting to you. And as they do, as they deepen this and they can connect to what they actually truly desire and the standards that they then hold for themselves, it then becomes clearer and clearer as to what is right, what is not right for them. And they can then hold those boundaries. And the more that you connect to this, the more you start to notice that those people, they can't even cross your boundaries. Not because you're rah, 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 don't you come near me, because you just you're so effortlessly grounded in this part of you, and you hold these standards of not just pleasure, but pleasure, intimacy, connection, respect for yourself, that anyone that tries to enter your field that doesn't match that will very quickly move away, or you will step away. It becomes easy. But you're right, most of us are not taught this. No. And this is why so many women get into their later life and end up divorcing, because they realize, holy crap, what was I doing? That's not what I value for myself. And so I say to women who are, I had a client who was very panicky about what to do. Just release that. Focus on you, and the answers will come, and you will know what is right for you. Just focus on that. But when you
go ahead.
Go ahead. You're right. When you So, and I've spoken about this on social media, and I have a great community on social media, and some women have commented and said, but he doesn't care to want to, it's just a quickie, or he doesn't want to have sex with me, or he just doesn't care to please me. And I encourage women to take that power back and connect to, I tell them to start giving yourself the levels of connection and pleasure and intimacy that you desire. And either they will rise to meet that, or again, they will move away, or you will step away. But how can you expect someone to give you levels of connection and pleasure and want them to worship your body if you don't even worship your body?
Right. So how do you work with somebody to, I don't know if you can even do this on a podcast. How do you even talk somebody through learning how to love themselves again and love their body again?
So years before, so my journey evolved over the years from, healing my relationship with food, learning to love myself. I did a lot of self-love and affirmations and all of that. Now, I had learned to love myself to some degree, to a great degree, in ways that I never had before. But when I stepped into this work, it's a whole other level, because you're not trying to love yourself anymore. You're trying to connect to yourself. And the deeper you connect, the more that love builds for yourself. So so it was kind of the first layer back then, which was the beautiful, common stuff we see now, the affirmations, the treating yourself kindly, all that is very important. And looking after your body, perhaps looking in the mirror. I did a lot of that, looking in the mirror at your naked body and finding things you love. All of that was great, but this was a whole other level. I wasn't even focusing on loving myself. I was focusing on connecting. And when you connect, that love builds, because you become unshakable in who you are. And, it's this deep love that even when I am having periods in my life where things appear to be going wrong, or whatever, we're all human, or I've gained weight or whatever, it's this unshakable, I am deeply connected to me and nothing can change that. And it doesn't matter what else is going on, I still will never accept anyone in my space that doesn't love me and want to connect with me the way that I love and connect to myself.
So what I found a lot with my journey, and just even with my podcast, is if I talk to like a lot of my friends are just like, you do a podcast, you listen to podcasts, it's like a lot of people, a lot of my friends, a lot of women aren't necessarily wanting to work on themselves. And I've gone through a huge journey, mostly in the last 4 years, really working on me. And I did a forgiveness journey, and I have a friend who's a chiropractor who does some holistic stuff and getting you into your body and getting rid of icky stuff. And I went and saw her about 8 times, and I saw a change in myself at that point, and able to more focus inside of myself, which I think is cool. But getting to that point, I'm not anywhere near that. That, it just, I think I still probably have too many demons in me in terms of loving myself the way I really need to love myself and loving the way I want to love myself.
Yeah. Can I just say there that it's not about ever trying to get rid of the demons and then thinking, right, I'm at the point where then I can love myself. It's learning to connect now, whatever's still there. And I think it's this misconception that we think when all this stuff is healed, then I'll love myself. And
right.
Yeah. And it's let me tell you, when I was on this journey, and still even recently in the last couple of years, I had some very, very dark patches with mental health. Now, it was incredible, and it was me having a very the next level of my journey that needed to happen. But that didn't stop this connection to myself. And it's not about thinking I've got too much and I've been through a lot, which a lot of women have genuinely been through. You know, all our stuff, it's subjective to us. You know, a lot of us have been through a lot, but it's not ever about I have to work through this enough to connect. You can connect at any point. And what happens is when you start connecting, some of that stuff naturally comes up. And this is why it can be great, especially for women who have experienced significant trauma, to have someone who can hold that space to direct them to that safety, to build that safety in the body. So with women who really struggle to stay in their body because it then becomes too uncomfortable and the big feelings come up, the first goal, we don't even address pleasure. The pleasure will come, pun intended, the pleasure will come when we address what is going on. So it's about building safety to stay in the body, even when the thoughts of the demons and the past and all this comes up. It's okay. I'm safe to stay here where I am now. I'm not trying to fight my demons. I'm not trying anything. I'm just staying here and learning to stay in my body. And the more you build that safety to stay in the body through whatever arises, the more that stuff will move naturally, and the more you will awaken the pleasure side of things, and the more it will feel home in your body, I guess is the word.
That makes sense.
So
can you take us through I don't even know if you can do this, like a small scenario on how you would coach?
It's very dependent on the person, but on a basic level. And so I'm about to release a new freebie as of next week, where it's a guided practice. So it's almost like a guided meditation.
Okay.
And it's teaching you to stay in your body. So if you were my client here now, and it would be a mixture of coaching, the somatic work, all of that. But if we were going into somatic work on a basic level, I would basically guide you in. So like a meditation where I would have you close down your eyes, focus on your breathing, start connecting to what's going on in the body. Now, it can be very difficult initially to feel what's going on in the body because you haven't been in your body. And this, again, was another light bulb moment for me when I started doing this. I started doing my own practices for music and then the guided work. And I would sit there going, but I don't feel anything in my body. I don't know what I feel. I don't know. I don't feel anything. Something's wrong with me. And it was a light bulb moment. Again, that holy cow. How could I possibly feel my orgasm or pleasure if I
can't feel anything else?
If I can't feel anything? So the guided work, which is the freebie that I'm about to release, is guiding you in. So connecting, and you start connecting to the sensations that are happening in your body. And again, quite often, it'll be nothing to do with pleasure whatsoever. It'll be, either that you don't really feel anything, or things will come up like the tightness in your chest or butterflies in the stomach. And your job is to just start staying there. And you'll notice the mind wants to take you away. The mind will start going, either, oh, I've got to cook this for dinner tonight, I've got to do the washing, or
like my meditations.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, especially when you start going beneath and you're connecting to the pleasure, something will arise. It'll trigger a memory that you may not have even thought, or something that was heavy for you, and it will trigger that. Your job in that moment is to drop away from that thought and stay in the body. Because as I was saying before, if you don't, and this is what, happens to most of us who, disconnected from our body, something comes up in our body, that energy we've never acknowledged, and then it goes to the thought, I remember, God, he was awful to me. How did I stay so long? He was terrible. How am I going to learn to love myself after what he did to me? And it's this story, which is triggering more of that energy. And it's this loop, and you're staying disconnected. Your job in that moment is to go, what's going on in my body? What's the strongest thing I'm feeling? All right, my heart's feeling tight. My chest is feeling tight. I'm just going to breathe into this space and just stay in my body. This is like the most basic, simple tools that I speak about, this online, and women have had incredible results just from these basic, simple strategies and tools, and staying in your body, and you stay there until that energy moves, or it's okay, that's enough for today, I've stayed there. And so you're training yourself that it then becomes more of a habit, and you've conditioned yourself to go inwards. So when things happen in the day and you notice you're getting frantic, you go, okay, I'm going off with the mind, I'm just going to come back to the body. And the more you do this, the more you are in your body, which is where your pleasure lies, your orgasmic energy lies, and where that stuck energy of past experiences moves. And there's a incredible book. So for women who may be listening who've experienced significant trauma, now this doesn't have to be sexual trauma. It doesn't have to be to the level of domestic violence. Significant trauma, again, is subjective to us. Something that had a significant impact, big emotions. There's a book. Now, this is a very long read, and everybody's not going to want to go to this, but I'm just going to give you the gist of how this explains. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. Now, he was a psychiatrist decades ago. He was the first psychiatrist to make the link between the body holding on to the energy of that trauma and the mind. So he was working with clients, the talk therapy. He was a renowned psychiatrist. But then people who had experienced significant trauma weren't making progress, because that would come back up again. They would, on the higher levels, PTSD, or go into freeze. So for clients like mine, to clients like me, to do with, intimacy. Yeah, to do with intimacy, they may go into that freeze mode, or just completely numb, where they don't feel. So he began to make the link. So talk therapy is one level, and anyone that comes to me with significant trauma has to be seeing a professional in that arena, or had that talk therapy, because that's not my realm. My realm is addressing what's going on in their body. So he made this link, and he published all these papers. He was incredible. I can't even remember his name for the life of me. that if we don't address this energy, and this is the psychiatrist, right? So people who think this is airy fairy stuff, this was a doctor, a psychiatrist, doctor of medicine, who made the link and said, if we're not addressing that energy, that's going to keep looping. Because what happens when you have significant trauma, it triggers a stress response in your body, okay? So let's say something happened, that stress response was triggered. If you never address that stress response, when something triggers that memory or event again, and this is what PTSD is that it re-triggers, and people who have experienced, especially very, very significant trauma, their body can't distinguish between the actual event or now, because it's happening, it's feeling so real for them, that same feeling. And if they don't, women come to me and they say, I just want to feel my pleasure. And then we dive deep into it and there's this going on. And we're like, just back up. You're not going to get to your pleasure if you don't build this safety that it's okay, that when this big stuff arises, and even on a lower level, the daily, the anxiety, the stress, then you're staying disconnected from that body. Right? If that makes sense.
Right. That does make sense.
Sorry, I just had to have a drink. I love to talk, as I said to you before, I could talk underwater about this stuff. I'm so passionate because, I just put my headphone out. Because when I went on this journey myself, as I said to you, all I was fixated on was, I want to be a multi-orgasmic woman. And I want to actually enjoy and not try and, avoid sex. That was all I was focused on. When I started reconnecting and reawakening this in my body, it's so much more, because it is the connection to you. So it just, it tapped into levels of me that I'd never accessed, not just the pleasure, but I started to understand my soul work, which was this, but my creativity, my magnetism, it's just, everything stems from how connected we are to us, really. So it's so much more. And there's so many different ways, there's so many incredible healers and people in the world. Everyone's path is different to where they get there, but it's ultimately a connection to yourself.
Right.
And it's beautiful what it awakens. It's the pleasure is just the beautiful, delicious side effect of being connected.
Right. So I would absolutely love to share your website and your freebie when you have it. So I was sure to get that from you, because I think I'm going to have your podcast go in a couple weeks. So, but is there, where we are on time, is there anything that you want to share with us that you haven't shared yet, that you think my listeners would benefit from hearing?
My number one piece of advice, probably for women who are watching this, which is a lot of my clientele, with their main symptom, as mine was, the struggle to orgasm and pleasure, is to let go of that. Let go. And when women come to me and message, and how do I do this? And, you can kind of see who's going to get, I don't like saying the word results, but results, because it's when it's when you're ready to actually let go and focus on connecting. That's when the changes will happen, and you just surrender and go, this will take as long as it takes, and I'm okay with that, because this time's going to pass anyway. my goal is to connect. It could happen very quickly. I've had women in my 6-week course who've awakened it immediately and had their first orgasm ever during sex or by themselves. And then other women, that just was the incredible igniting, and then they went on to, feel later on. But you have to stop looking at it as a Band-Aid solution or a quick fix. This is, and it's the consistency, doing one somatic practice or one self-pleasure practice is not going to, connect, because you've spent a lifetime disconnecting. It's about the ongoing journey from now until the day you die of just, this is who I am now. I am someone who comes back to my body. That's it. And that's the woman who, as I said before, that saying I say now, a woman who feels free in her pleasure and orgasmic energy is a woman who feels free and safe in her body. Your goal should just be to connect to your body. It's my number one thing. And then that's when things will start awakening and igniting. And as I said, in ways that you cannot even fathom yet. The ways it is, in ways that, I would write that saying, as I said, the soul expanding, mind blowing intimacy.
Right.
But I didn't really know what that meant. And then I met my next partner, who I was with for 3 years, and it was, oh, okay, whoa, this is out of this world. This is far beyond what I even thought was possible. And then even with myself, and it's just, we can't even fathom what is available to us because we've never been taught this. So, but when you let go of that and you just focus on that deepening and connecting to yourself, it's delicious and it's beautiful and it's incredible. And every woman deserves to feel this, and every woman is capable of feeling this.
And every woman needs to realize that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Absolutely. We are incredible beings, us women. We really are.
We are. We really are.
Yes, we are.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Allie, for everything tonight, for spending time chatting with me, and for everything you shared. And I really do want to share your freebie, or tell them at least where to go. So, thank you so incredibly much. I have really, truly enjoyed this, and I'm pretty sure my podcast listeners are going to like it.
You are so welcome. It's my absolute pleasure. And I feel so grateful that I get to do this. And every message that I get, whether it's a client, someone who's done my 6-week course, or people simply watching me on social media, implementing the things that I say, listening to these podcasts, implementing the things I say, and then I get messages saying, oh my God, this happened. I didn't realize this. And it makes me so emotional, because I'm not teaching you anything that your body doesn't already know. I'm just guiding you back to you. I'm guiding you back to you. I don't know your body better than you. I'm just guiding you back to you. And this is already in you right now as you are listening, watching this. It's there right now. And I will never take for granted that this is my path. I get to ignite women and awaken them to, it's beautiful. So thank you for having me on. Losing my voice.
Absolutely.
It's been my absolute pleasure.
Thank you. I'm going to stop.
Gave them your all, and now 'cause you are